What's up, everybody? You're back on the Mike Wise Show on this beautiful Sunday afternoon or evening, depending on where you're tuning in from. We're live today on another episode with Rick Simpson.
Hello, everyone. Happy to be here.
And we got this nice, it's hard for me to, there it is. We got this nice set right here going on. Updated set here. We got a city in the background. I don't know. We'll say this is Zagreb. We got Zagreb behind you, right?
Yeah. You can have anything behind you on the screen.
Live from Croatia. Go. And let me get everything dialed in today. We got a lot to chat about. There's been a lot going on since we've done a show here, and there's a lot always going on with cannabis around the world. So I don't know. Where you want to start today, Rick?
Well, there's no question that it is slowly evolving, in our favor. So, and it's high time that happened, believe me. No, I'd just like to talk a bit about treating animals, because I get emails all the time from people, and they're all concerned about their pets, and, I have a dog that weighs 10 kilos, will the dog become overdosed? Again, this goes back to the foolish concerns that people have, and it's ridiculous. Because my main concern, really, in treating an animal or treating a human, my main concern is the quality of the extract that you're using. This is the reason I always say, you grow your own, produce your own medicine, and then you know what you have. But if you go down and you buy some medicine or some extract from Joe Blow down the street, you don't have any idea what you're getting.
It could be anything.
It could be anything. And that's the main concern I have. As far as animals goes, like I said, animals aren't afraid of becoming high. And as far as I'm concerned, the high is part of the healing, a very important part of the healing. So I'd like to, if I was treating a dog, I would start treating a dog with 1/4 gram, a big dose. And with human beings, I start off with this little rice size or half a rice size dosage, 3 times a day, and then they work their way up. And that alleviates a lot of their concerns. But with an animal, you don't have to do that. They're the same as we are. If you have good extract, you cannot overdose and die on it. The main thing it's going to cause, if you're using sativas, which is what I always recommend, or not sativas, indicas, which is what I always recommend, they have that strong sedative sleepy effect. So that's to me, that's the real medicine. And the other problem right now, too, I see is, if people would just understand that there is no harm going to be done. If you have good extracts, there is no harm to the animal. So that's the main thing to remember. And I hope this alleviates a lot of the concerns that people have, because it's, you can put it in the dog. If you're treating a dog or something, you can put the medicine in the food, or you can put it on, open wounds or sores or anything of that nature. But, right now, I think one of the biggest problems we have is just getting this medicine stabilized. Recently I had some meetings with some of the top growers here in Europe, and I explained the situation out to them. And I said, we got hundreds of companies out there now, all running off in different directions, using all kinds of different strains. There's no stability in any of this. It's just a mess, literally a free-for-all. So when I was talking to these growers, I said, we need the strongest, most medicinal indica strains possible. So apparently they're willing to go along with my wishes, and we can make this medicine a whole lot better than it currently is. But at the present time, it's like it's a pig in a poke. I mean, you send for extract you buy extract from anyone, you really don't know what you're getting. In one batch to the next, even if they supply test results, that doesn't really mean much, because one batch to the next, the cannabinoid contents can vary a great deal.
Oh, yeah.
So there's
different testing facilities can vary.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Yeah, even the testing facilities, I know, I've seen this myself many times. You take the same extract and you send it to different labs and you'll get different results. So even that needs to be stabilized. But I've been watching a bit now and lately, too, about, I watched a couple documentaries about this crisis in North America and other countries as well, this fentanyl, the opiates. And they're saying basically that there's no hope for these people, like they can't get off the fentanyl. This is ridiculous. The bottom line is, I mean, we take people off hydromorphine all the time with cannabis extracts. And if you can take them off hydromorphine, I think you could take them off fentanyl. But the trouble is, the cannabis extracts aren't available to these people. It's still, cannabis, the big evil drug. THC, the psychoactive part of the cannabis plant. Well, the psychoactive part, the THC, is very, very important. It's not only a cancer killer, there's all kinds of other medical values that THC has. And another thing people have to understand about my extracts, they keep saying, Rick Simpson, THC extracts. Well, yes, the extracts that I produced did contain very high levels of THC. There's no question. But they also contained all the other cannabinoids that were available in the bud material I was working with. So the CBD was there, the CBG, CBN, THC, and God knows there's over 144 different cannabinoids. So, whatever was available in the plant was in my extracts. And it was that synergetic effect of these, different cannabinoids working together that, as I feel, that actually worked the medical miracles. Because I don't think that THC by itself is really that effective, or CBD. But when you mix them, with all the other cannabinoids, then you can get miraculous healing powers.
You get the entourage effect.
Yeah, the entourage effect, exactly. So this is the type of thing people have to understand. And, if people would just see this for what it really is, this plant belongs to us. No government, no police department, no rich billionaires have the right to deny us the use of this plant. It's been our medicine for thousands of years. And it's only during the last few decades, that we've gone through all of this nonsense of this outlawing. And that has caused so many people to suffer and die, needlessly, just over greed. Because, if the extracts had been there, a great number of these people could have been, they would have had their pain relieved for sure. And, and they could have had their lives saved. But, they always, they tend to ignore the fact, with opiates today, we need the opiates to kill pain. Well, it was a well-known fact over 170 years ago in England, they proved that cannabis extracts from the right strains are far superior in killing pain than any damn opiate. So why do we still have all these opiates? Well, we should have cannabis extracts to relieve our pain, not question. The opiates. But of course there's, good money in addictions, isn't there?
Oh, yeah. Well, you can't patent a plant in the United States. You can't patent a medication. Mm-hmm. That's all natural. Yeah. So, of course, pharmaceuticals come in and they say, oh, here's your opioids. Yeah. Here's your morphine. It works great.
Yeah, it works great stuff.
And then propaganda campaign.
Yeah. Then you become a drug addict and then you die.
Yeah.
No, I mean, cannabis extracts and the cannabis plant it's the answer to practically all our problems, especially health-wise. If this stupid medical systems would start using cannabis, do you realize the reduction in costs, the governments would have to pay? Like Canadian government, we pay extremely high income tax, which as far as I'm concerned is another racket. But a great deal of that money goes to pay doctors, it goes to pay for medicines and all of this other nonsense, and I wouldn't have a problem with it. I mean, if they were actually giving us real medicine. But what they're giving us is pharmaceutical trash. And they're also denying us the use of cannabis, which is non-addictive and totally harmless. And there's something else I'd like to mention, too. Lately on YouTube, I've been seeing quite a few of these clips of these poor people, the withdrawal they went through, to break the addiction they had to cannabis. How the hell can you be addicted to something that's non-addictive? This is just sickening. It's just propaganda. They're just trying to scare people.
No, it's true. It's true.
It is. Cannabis never harmed anybody, for God's sakes. Well, maybe the sativa varieties. I don't have much use for sativas. As a matter of fact, if it was up to me, I'd be happy if there was no sativas. The indicas give us the medicine and give us everything we need. Sativas are useful to some degree, but when it comes to medicine, you don't want to make an extract from a sativa for internal use, because it can really have scary effects, very energizing. Over the roof, crazy effects. So, I always tell people, for God's sakes, if you're going to produce an extract, make sure it's from an indica strain. That'll give you the sleep and rest you require to help you heal. And, and it's totally harmless. Like I said, no addiction, no danger. If you overdose, well, you're going to sleep. Real deadly, huh?
Yeah.
When you wake up, you'll be unharmed. So, it's the safest medicine on the planet. And the sad truth is, no one ever had the right to outlaw it. And this is what's going on right now. These governments, you see, to solve a problem, you have to go back and look at what caused it. And in this case, it was the governments themselves when they illegally outlawed this plant. That created the black market.
Yep.
But this is, the governments don't want to admit that. Oh no, because then the people would, they would lose confidence in their governments. Well, we should lose confidence because every government that outlawed the medicinal use of cannabis are guilty of really what can only be termed as being genocide. They're killing their own population by denying them a medicine that could heal them and help them.
Oh yeah.
And hundreds of millions, if not billions, over the last few decades have died for no reason other than the greed of these rich industrialists who control our governments. And, of course, the governments in turn control the medical system and the legal system and the educational system. And they shove all this nonsense right down our throats.
Yeah, they control all the systems.
Yeah. So it's time for people to get up and exercise your natural right as a human being, to use this medicine. I'm 68 years old. Who has the right to, even if it comes down to smoking a joint, who has the right to walk up to me and tell me that I can't smoke a joint? Because even smoking a joint does have a certain amount of medicinal value, but not nearly what the extracts have. But, it is truly ridiculous. Harmless, non-addictive, but it's okay to go get drunk. It's okay to take bottles after bottle of pharmaceutical opiates and all that trash. That's fine. So that, tell me, as far as I'm concerned, there's a lot of people on this planet that got their heads screwed on wrong. So we got to bring back the use of cannabis, and we have to start telling our governments and our authorities that we've had enough of this nonsense. Like I get these emails all the time complaining, well, I can't get the medicine here in this area where I live and all this. Why are you complaining to me? Why don't you complain to your damn government?
No, that's a good point.
They're the ones that are preventing, the use of this. It's not me. I'm encouraging the use of this. But there's only so much I can do. And I get these emails all the time. Where can I get the extract? Well, how would I know? I'd have to be in touch with every damn extract maker on the planet. I'd have to know every day the exact amount of cannabinoids their extracts contain. This is totally impossible because, when you look at these suppliers, like today, they might have a wonderful extract that may cure cancer and work in several other diseases. But tomorrow, they could be working with a whole different strain. And that strain might not have many medical abilities at all. So, this goes back to what I've always said. Grow it yourself. Make your own medicine, and then that's something you can rely on. But to go through other channels, and I've received so many emails from people that have been scammed, and usually by people who are using my name. And I have nothing to do with any of these idiots. But it makes a sad statement for the world we live in and the behavior of the people. When they will stoop to that low to try to suck the money out of someone who is sick and dying. They don't care, sell them a low quality extract. As long as we get a few thousand out of it, we're happy. Great people. And so, if they ever want to populate Mars, I think they should take all of that trash and ship them there. Be a good place for them.
I think that's what Elon Musk is trying to
Maybe,
do right now.
it might be.
SpaceX. But that's an interesting point you bring up because I get these messages too about you. So there is no global Rick Simpson oil network?
There is no network of that nature at all. I wish there was. This is what I'm trying to establish. If I can get these companies working together and, we can start using the most medicinal strains, we can stabilize the whole industry. And that's what needs to be done. But as long as people are going to run off in all directions and do whatever they like and make all these absurd claims, and the one that really upsets me the most is just all this nonsense about CBD. CBD, it does have medical value. The same as all the other cannabinoids. They all have their different values. But to concentrate, on CBD for curing cancer and things like that, I think that's just totally ridiculous.
Well, it's crazy. You go on the internet and it's just post after post after post. There's some new study of CBD does this for this, and CBD works for this, and CBD works for this.
Oh yeah, and avoid the Rick Simpson oil because that's full of THC. But unfortunately, most people, if most people would just look into this. All the research that's ever been done, most of it was done in regards to THC. They've known that THC is a cancer killer since the mid 70s. So, and like I said, there's all these other medical benefits to THC too. And the way I look at it, I mean, anybody that's so afraid of getting high, well, apparently then they're not afraid of dying because, I think getting high is part of the healing. It's a very important part of it.
Oh yeah.
So, get over your fears. Turn this plant free. Stand up for your rights. This is what the future needs. This is what needs to happen in the future if we're going to protect our children and coming generations. We got to change this world, and we got to change it now.
I've always liked that quote of yours. If you don't get high, you don't get healed.
Well, in a lot of cases, that's true, Mike.
Well,
it's it's like I said, like certain extracts with low THC levels, they may have a certain amount of healing abilities. But when you're dealing with serious, serious illnesses like cancer and things like that, you can't play games with it. You aggressively, and like I said, follow the dosage instructions on my website, phoenixtears.ca. It's all there. And
right at the bottom of your screen.
yeah. And and if you find that even the low dosages I start with, if you find that is too strong, then just cut your dosage a little bit more. But every 4 days, keep increasing. Your body will build up the tolerance it needs. And believe me, I mean, it's not so bad. When you look at the effects of this medication, it's it's euphoric and it's very sleepy and relaxing. And this really does aid in the healing process. Get over your fears.
Oh, there's nothing to be afraid of. I mean, I did a show, I'd say 3 months ago, and I tried to ingest orally with edibles, 35,000 milligrams of THC.
35,000.
Yeah, I got to about 17,000, and by that time my other co-hosts had eaten the rest, so I couldn't physically eat more. But hey, I'm alive and kicking.
Yeah.
We proved that on air, live.
I think the last show we did, we were smoking on air, weren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, look at the devastating effects. My God, these two people are acting normal. If you did the same thing, with alcohol or pharmaceuticals, well, we'd just be babbling fools. But as you can see, cannabis really doesn't affect your thinking abilities a great deal. And it does, certainly it's never done. I mean, they always go on, you got to protect the young minds from cannabis and all this nonsense. But, I mean, I've been ingesting these extracts for almost 20 years. You see any harm? At my age, 68, I think my thinking abilities are working quite well.
Yeah, mine too. That's a good point. They always say that THC harms the adolescent brain.
Oh yeah, that's another idiotic argument. But it's okay, for these children to take Ritalin or any other of these stupid pills that the doctors prescribe. That's perfectly safe now, isn't it? Sober up. These people are doing harm to your children.
That's the problem, though. The media is the people that are telling you this, and it's like
mainstream media. What a trustworthy bunch, controlled by the same rich elite that controls our governments. You can't believe anything you read in a newspaper or you see on television. The only proof you're going to find on this planet, and even on the internet, it's kind of hard to find. But at least you do find some truth on the internet. Believe me, what we're telling you is the truth.
And that's a good point of why we're here today, and why I'm bringing you this show is to kind of give you the news that you won't hear on the mainstream media, because all the mainstream media is bought and paid for. Yeah. You can't believe anything. I mean, I was just having this talk with Rick. He didn't hear about this, but it's something new every 2 weeks. I'm seeing every time I go online now, and my friends online, they're sharing some new story every 2 weeks. And I was telling them about the Tide Pod thing, where 2 weeks ago, there's legislators at the Capitol trying to make a law to make Tide Pods seem less appetizing. And no, people are sharing this, and I'm just there like, why don't we make a law to repeal cannabis prohibition? Why are we talking about this other crap?
Yeah.
And that's all thanks to the mainstream media. The mainstream media says this is what's important right now, and so everybody goes online and feels like they need to give their kind of 2 cents on it.
Yeah.
When I think, like, if we just focus all that energy towards a common cause.
This is what we need. I mean, there's all these distractions. This is what they want. They want people looking at different things all the time, just to keep them really mixed up. But the bottom line is, what's the most important cause on this planet? I think it would have to be the cause that Mike and I are fighting for. The total, not just legalization, the total repeal of all these idiotic laws against cannabis. Because it's the only thing that actually unites us all. The one thing that unites us, we're all concerned about our own health and well-being and the health and well-being of those we love. This is the, there of any other concern that people have that would be above and beyond that. This is the future. This is a medicine that can save us. It can ease our suffering in so many ways, and it can save our planet. So that, like, if there's a total lack of common sense on at present, and if people are willing to sit there and let their TVs and their newspapers brainwash them, because that's what they're doing. You can't believe a damn thing you see on television. I think it's all an illusion.
It's well, the one thing I wanted to talk with you about while I had you on today was this lawsuit that's going on in the USA. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it,
Well, Jeff
but
Sessions.
the lawsuit against Sessions and I think it's there's several known plaintiffs, so it's not this one patient.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I like about it. I like that there's multiple patients with different stories to tell.
Right.
So you have Alexis. She's kind of got the child story along with Jagger, and you got Marvin Washington, who's got kind of the NFL experience. Because I've always said that with us knowing what we know about the media and how kind of ingrained it makes us think about certain things and ingrained messages we receive from the media, I've always said, well, if we can get a lot of NFL players behind this, if we can get the NFL behind this, because they go through so much with traumatic brain injuries and these kind of things.
There's quite a few of these players now raising a stink about this.
Oh, yeah.
They want to use cannabis
There is
because
quite
it
a
helps
few.
them heal so much quicker.
There's quite a few, and with that, I'll say shout out to Boo, Boo Williams, one of my friends. He's out there doing this, and I've always said that if we can get the NFL behind this, then that will kind of get the public behind it, because the public will say, oh, well, this is one of my heroes. This is
Well,
one
if it's
of my
good for
favorite
athletes,
guys.
it's got to be good for us, right?
You know, so we got Marvin on there, and we got Jose, the Army veteran as well, and veterans is another cause, veteran rights that's near and dear to my heart, because it's kind of crazy to me, the treatment they receive from the U.S. government. I can't speak on other countries, but for the U.S. in particular, we ask these young guys. A lot of times they're 18 years old to give up their experience that they would have in regular life during that time and go and fight and potentially die and be away from their families and really sacrifice so much for us and for the government. The government's the one who's asking them to go out there and fight, and yet they come back and they ask the government for some basic health care.
They don't get it.
They can't even get that.
Well, they come back, with post-traumatic stress disorder. I mean, the bottom line is, when you look at these wars that are going on at present, they're all fought over resources. It's not about right and wrong. It's just that, one country wants the resources of another country. That's what it's really all about. And, that is sad in itself. But when you look at these young soldiers when they come back, I mean, the first thing they do, they slap opiates. And then after 3-4 months, then their doctor says that they're a drug addict. So they no longer supply them. So then they have to go to the street. This is crazy. The best treatment on this planet for post-traumatic stress disorder or anything like that is cannabis extracts. Perfectly safe, non-addictive, and this is what these soldiers need. Anyone who's gone through traumatic experiences, this would be a very beneficial treatment for them. But to become an opium addict, I don't think that's going to do anybody much good at all, except the
pharmaceutical companies, yeah. Because you'll need to buy more pills, need to go see more doctors, need to get more treatments. It's a vicious cycle, and so they're suing Sessions in the DEA to make cannabis easier to obtain. And they just had their first kind of meeting where Sessions was supposed to show up and plaintiffs were supposed to show up. And of course, like any trial that goes on in the U.S., it's postponed and this kind of thing. But what are your thoughts on this? Do you think this is kind of a chance getting some change legally?
I would hope something positive would come out of this. But, I mean, in my opinion, Jeff Sessions is nothing but an idiot anyway. I don't even know why they made him Attorney General. I find this very strange. But I mean,
Yeah.
the way this is growing in different countries now, it's there are positive things happening in places like Chile and different countries like that. So as time goes on, that this will spread worldwide, and this is what we need. But I look at like Canada, the U.S. What's going on there right now is nothing but a nightmare. And there's no stability in these industries. They're like I said, they're making all these claims, and the government's not doing a damn thing about all these scam artists. If the government was doing their job, they would send the police to put a stop to these people, especially the ones that are using my name. I wish they would. The government doesn't raise a finger because if you buy a cannabis extract and it turns out to be nothing but trash, well then that discredits the use of cannabis extracts because you're running around saying then that it didn't work. Well, it would have worked if you had the right real extract. But I mean, like I said, when you've got garbage, when they send you garbage like that, I mean, and they always, I get the complaints. I bought the Rick Simpson oil from someone.
Yeah.
Well, good luck with that. If you want to complain to someone, complain to the person you bought it from. I have nothing to do with any of this. I'm the one. I just come out and told the world how they can heal themselves. Back in 2004, when I put up the website, I explained it so people could understand it in a very easy way. And this is all you got to do. You know, but stop putting your trust in people to supply your medical needs.
Yeah, I tell everyone the same thing. They'll message me, where can I get this? Where can I get this? I live in this state.
Mhm.
And I'll be like, well, I might know someone there, but even if I do know this person, I still say, you need to make this yourself. Because I don't
Yeah.
know this person. And there is no way to know batch to batch.
No.
It's it's one of those things that when we talk about the repeal of prohibition, one of the main behind this, and not this legalizing, because we have legalizing in many states, but we don't have the repeal of prohibition. We don't have the full ability to grow this plant at home. We don't have the full ability to process this plant at home, like me and you could do to heal ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's what we're talking about needs to change. That's what needs to happen. And so every day, I know Captain Ed and Jack made that pledge. Do something every day.
Yeah. Keep
For
the fight going until they're
prohibition.
84, but
Yeah.
unfortunately, neither one of them made it to 84.
Yeah, unfortunately, too, Captain Ed's shop just got torn down like this last week.
Oh, really?
So officially demolished. Kind of the end of an era.
Well, I mean, when you look at Ed Adair and of course Jack Hare, I mean, those are two of the greatest cannabis activists that ever lived. They were perfectly right in everything they told the public. But so much propaganda had already been fed to the public. The public had a hard time believing that Jack and Captain Ed were right. Same thing with me. Like when I first started this, even people that I knew, friends, or people I thought were friends, even though I was giving the extracts away for nothing, all of a sudden, Rick Simpson is a drug dealer. Ugh. It just makes you sick, when you see how gullible people really are. And this is part of our problem. We all think we're so damn smart, but in reality, we can be manipulated and misled very easily. And this is exactly what the big money in our governments have done. There's no freedom on this planet. People walk around live in these cities and they think they're free. You're in it. All these people are all in an invisible cage. If you want to be free, go off into the wilderness somewhere, and live the way we should instead of this nonsense. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, cities just destroy lives, and I really don't have any use for any of them. Yeah, give me the woods. I'll take the woods any day.
No, me too.
I have to excuse me 1 second, Mike.
No problem.
He fed me coffee. It's his fault.
I like being out in this village, though, along with what you're saying.
Oh, yeah, it's nice of you.
All right, guys, with the theme of what's going on today, if you have any questions you want to ask, feel free to ask us, and I'll try to get to what I can on the show today. We'll see. We'll see what we got. And remember, share this post. We're giving away a pack of seeds from OG Labs. So I'm actually going to put this comment in now. A pack of seeds from OG Labs. We finally got some new strains that we're pretty excited about, including an Auto Berry Kush. G13's crushing it. So if you guys need some seeds, hit up the OG Labs page. And boom, there you go. If we get to some of these questions, let's see what we got. Let's see what we got here. Yo, we got Yassine and Rob in the house. What up, guys? What up, Stacy? I miss you too. Let's see, Ann from Ireland. What's up? Thanks for tuning in today, guys. Let's see. No, I do not see comments as they happen. It's I'm shooting from this computer, so I don't want to look at them, and my tablet's not working. So we're just going through some of the comments we got today. So feel free to ask away whatever you guys want to ask about, and we'll try to get to them later on here in the show. Good coffee.
No, I mean, we have to build a better world than we're presently living in. Cannabis is the key to that better world.
Amen.
Mike and I, we're both actually poor. We don't have much backing, and but at least we're bringing the people the truth about this. And in the future, there's no question in my mind that sooner or later cannabis is going to become completely legal everywhere. It'll have to be. But for God's sakes, when that time comes, remember all of these people who have been denying you the use, and remember the loved ones you've lost because of these people. Just keep that in mind. These people should be, they should be punished. There's no question in my mind. They should be punished for what they're doing. At first, when I first started this, I thought it was just human stupidity.
That's what I thought too.
And then you get into this far enough, and you realize, no, these governments, they all know the truth. And any doctor who is a real doctor also knows the damn truth. I've had doctors in the U.S. tell me that I should win a Nobel Prize because they know about this, and they know, what I'm telling the public is actually true. So I mean, but it's when you look at even in so many of these damn government officials now, like they're even passing laws that they can't be held accountable. And I just seen a thing about Trudeau. He can't be held accountable. As far as I'm concerned, like hell he can't. This business, I don't give you got a damn law or not. You killed my mother, or you killed my brother, or somebody close to me. I'm going to hold you accountable, sir. It's pathetic. Like we can do whatever we want to rule over you, and there is no retribution that from you. And these are the people we're paying great big salaries to represent us. They're nothing but gangsters, for God's sakes. We need real governments, not this party trash that we have today. The Democrats and the Republicans and all the rest of that nonsense.
It's all one party.
It's all one party, and they're all working against us.
The corporate party. The Republicrats.
Yep. The corporate party of America. All of America, including Canada.
But that's a good point you raised there, too, because I when I first got into this, I used to think, politicians, they just don't know. We just need to educate them. But I was curious, have you had any politicians reach out to you that needed to get information on oil or anything like this?
Well, I probably have, but they wouldn't tell me that. Because I'm one of the politicians. But back in Canada myself, I went to local politicians, and I wanted to take them straight to the patients because a lot of these patients had voted for these politicians. And in many cases, the politicians actually personally knew the patient. Thing about it. So there's your representation. You don't have any.
Yeah.
If you want representation, you're going to have it yourself. And like you said, if the human race, unites and goes about this properly, we can build a much better world than we're living in at the present time. And it's a very simple thing. All we're doing really is setting nature free. Isn't that what nature's supposed to be? And then when you consider the fact that cannabis was grown for thousands of years as a farm crop. In fact, it's strongly believed that cannabis was man's first cultivated crop. And on top of that, it happens to be the most medicinal plant on earth. So, I mean, whoever had the right to do this? I mean, if they outlawed potatoes, what would you think? That's a farm crop too. I mean, this is just total insanity, and I just don't understand why the public has put up with it. But when you're fed all these lies and manipulated the way we have been, it's understandable. And I'm telling you right now, folks, it's time to wake up, and we better do it damn quick, because if we don't, we're going to end up extinct, and that's not a very good future for the human race.
Oh yeah. I recommend everyone this tell everyone you know.
Yeah.
Tell them your story. I know when I was first on this oil and I started being able to leave the house for the whole day, and not have to go to a restroom every couple of hours. I couldn't stop telling everybody I knew, hey,
Look what
this
it did for
oil
me.
works for and you have to tell everyone this. And I encourage contact your politicians too. That's the thing, you can email them if you can see them in person. They're at public events. Say, hey, I need this oil, and I don't need a CBD only. I need to be able to grow this and make this oil myself. And there's no way to just make one part of it legal. You need to just make the free the plant, as they say.
That's right.
But you want to talk. You want to talk. You want to be put together, politicians, and you don't want to be come off as aggressive. Know that a lot of us are agitated because of what we've been through.
You're talking about being politically correct.
Yeah, there you go. Being politically correct.
This has gone beyond being politically correct. To hell with politically correct. These people are murdering us. That's a crime. So I've had enough of this political correct.
Yeah.
Tell your damn politicians what you think, and tell them that you will not be voting for them the next election if they don't want to say, "Hell, do it now."
Yeah, good point.
This is the bottom line.
Well, we're their constituents, so they need to listen to us.
Now we're their bosses.
That's
the bottom line. Pay their damn salaries, and it's just about time they started working for us.
Well, they get too much of their salary from these pharmaceutical companies.
No, that's the money that gets slipped in the back pocket. That's not really their salary, and I'm sure they don't pay taxes on that, do they?
No. That's another good point.
Well, I mean, when you look at the human race, there are people out there that are honest and trustworthy. But I'll tell you one damn thing: they're few and far between. Most people, if they're put in a situation where they can put a few thousand in their back pocket without anybody coming after them, they'll do it. This is the problem we have with all of these people. Police officers, lawyers, judges, doctors, all of them. It's all about the damn money. So, this is not the type of world we should be living in. And I look at my own children, I look at my grandchildren, and I think, what if this goes on like this? What kind of future do they have?
Not a very good one.
We're living in a world of shit right now, and it's going to get nothing but worse. So, it's up to us to make the changes, and we got to do it quick. And it's not just up to us; it's actually our responsibility as humans. For God's sakes, I mean, if anybody's going to save us, it has to be us. And I can tell you one thing: the rich elite and the politicians—they're not going to do it for us.
They're not looking out for us. They're looking out for them.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll say we'll get into a few of these questions.
Okay.
So let's see. Yeah, that is the problem. Too many of these politicians get paid off. Like Sessions, for example, he's been paid by the Koch brothers, and this is what they've been openly contributed. There's such things as dark money contributions in the U.S. too, and we have no idea. That's not kept on record. These guys can receive this money. And the Koch brothers are the ones who are behind the voter cross-check program. They're behind getting Trump in office. They're behind the clean coal thing. If you hear that a lot,
I wonder how
Trump's
clean their money is. And where did they get all these funds? Do you think they might have stole it from us?
Well, I can tell you when they first started out, they were pumping oil off of an Indian reservation, and they made a contract that every truck that came in to get 90 barrels of oil, pull it off the reservation, and they went and sold it. But the Koch brothers told their employees to pull 100 barrels off of each truck shipment. They got caught for this later, and they got sued for millions of dollars. and I believe they had to give it back. Everything they stole, they had to give it back to the Indians. But they asked him. They said, why are you doing this to the Indians? These people are so poor. They have nothing. Why are you doing this to them? And the Koch brothers' response was, I want my fair share. I want all of it. That's how these people think.
Well, it's just like, look at that guy that's the head of Nestle. Now water is a commodity. Water? You know, like we got corporate leaders talking and thinking that way. These people should not be leaders of anything. They're nothing but they're just money hungry fools and psychopaths. That's what they truly are. Nobody should be denied the access to fresh water, for God's sakes. And for God's sake, stop drinking that trash you see in all these stores. The bottled water in plastic bottles full of fluoride.
Yeah, fluoride.
Yeah, really good stuff. If you want to get a drink of water, go to a spring or something like that, or get it from a well, because the public water supplies are not safe to drink. And over the last while, I've been looking into quite a bit about this distilled water thing. And the more I look at it, the more sense it makes. So I'm starting to think that maybe we should all be drinking distilled water. Because then it don't have any, when you look at what is water, H2O. It's not H2O, all these other chemicals. So we need, water. We drink our water to keep us cleansed, to keep our bodies flushed. And if your water is full of trash, what's that going to leave behind? I think people should look into this distilled water thing, and I believe that it could be very, very beneficial for our health.
There's a switch with the water thing. So obviously, don't buy Nestle.
Oh God, Nestle, no.
We always
they're the world's worst. You see so much of these things today, and these companies, genetic modification and all of that, and the food supply in the United States and Canada. At least over here in Europe, I can eat the food over here without worrying so much. But when I was in Canada, to a grocery store, everything. It's got preservatives, growth hormones, and God knows what else.
High fructose corn syrup.
There's nothing safe to eat anymore. So it goes back again to help yourself grow your own food. Get your own chickens. You got eggs and stuff like that. Then, this is what you need to do, because you just can't. You go into these grocery stores, and when I used to go into these stores, I used to get so frustrated because I'd be looking at all these products and realizing that this stuff is not even safe to eat.
It's all crap.
It's all garbage. Yeah.
Processed in a package, and then you packaging. That's another thing. You have this. Everything's in some plastic, which takes forever to
decompose.
Yeah, to decompose.
Yeah, the oceans are full of plastic now. Oh. It's just horrible. At least if we're using cannabis, well, we can make plastic out of cannabis too, but it decomposes. It's biodegradable. It does no harm. But this stuff made from fossil fuels, that's a whole different story. A lot of harm.
Yeah, I started juicing recently to kind of, because I noticed when I'd go to the grocery store, it is a lot different here in Europe, I'll tell you that. Here, the grocery stores don't have much processed food. GMOs are banned for the most part. They're snake now. But juicing is a great alternative, a great way to get raw vegetables into you, and it's easy to do. I'm actually planning on doing a show where we're gonna go through all the juicing, and it's a good thing to do also along with the oil treatment. With changing your diet, getting these raw foods in you, these dark greens, these dark reds, all helps because we are deprived of it when we don't even have the option to really buy it.
Right.
It's fast food is on every corner.
Yeah, we all know how good that is for you.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure that's what gave me Crohn's.
All you gotta do is watch Super Size Me. That tells the whole story. What was it? After 2 weeks, the doctor told him, he said, if you don't stop doing this, you're gonna die, and that's from eating at McDonald's. And I think most other fast food outlets are not much different. Food, and and today too, there's so much of this processed meat, and that really isn't good for you. There's a lot of problems with processed meat. I think back in the 1800s, probably 5 to 10% of our diet was meat. Predominantly we're eating a lot more vegetables and fruits and things of that nature at that time. But today, we become such meat eaters that a lot of people, half their damn diet is meat. and that's not really a healthy diet.
Well, they have that meat causes cancer and all this. I haven't looked too much into it, but I know that definitely everything they're pumping into meat now.
Yeah.
It's you're not in America. It's that's what I'm talking about.
Well,
It's
growth
just tough
hormones,
to.
antibiotics. It's just full of trash.
It's
And
tough to get
then
it.
we're
Yeah.
sitting there eating that trash.
Yeah.
And that meat will make your body more acidic. And cancer loves an acidic environment. That's where it thrives. So, I don't tell people to stop eating eggs and things of that nature. I think that, I just look at eggs as being a staple of life. I mean, long before history was even written, we were gathering eggs. So I don't look at things like that as being so harmful. But if you're sitting down to eat a nice big juicy steak in the U.S. or Canada, start thinking about what's in that big nice juice. And you might not find it so.
Oh man, and the way they're treated too. That's a whole nother matter.
My son, he worked in a distribution house for one of these big one of these big food companies. And he told me himself, he worked there for a few months, and he told me himself, he said, Dad, he said, when that meat comes in there, he said, it's half rotten. They're just putting dyes and color and everything in it. They make it look good, in the supermarket. But if you actually went to the warehouse before it's delivered to the supermarket, you probably wouldn't even go near this stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty cool here. Another thing I saw a documentary on recently was gleaning, and gleaning is it means kind of like these people will go to a field, let's say where they're doing potato field. And nowadays everything's done with machines. So once the tractor comes through, it naturally potatoes that it didn't pick up. In Europe, you can legally go and pick them up,
Yeah.
and people come with pounds, 100 pounds of these potatoes. Yeah, it's
Well,
crazy.
why let it go to waste?
Oh, I know, and it's a whole different way of we get too caught up in the rat race in the U.S. And we don't we take things for granted, a lot of things for granted, and traveling around.
It's just a horror story to see the way the United States has gone downhill. I mean, I'm from Nova Scotia in Canada, and I mean, when I was a kid, like in the 50s and 60s, I thought the United States was the greatest country on the planet, and actually at that time it was. But over the last 3 or 4 decades, 5 decades, it's just been going downhill. All the jobs leaving. I mean, all those politicians sat around and they watched all those jobs leave the U.S. and Canada. Now, what did they think people are going to do for a living? Like we've never had any representation. It's all just manipulation and doing what the big money wants. Well, the big money, I mean, they've done a hell of a job well, actually, they poisoned our environment to a very high extent right now already. And they're doing it more and more every day. When you look at everything that they're behind, like I said, the pharmaceutical industry, the energy, all of it. These are the people in control. Shouldn't be. And it's time we broke that control. We can grow our own energy. We can grow our own food.
Yeah.
It's all right there. The cannabis plant is I think is the most helpful.
Yeah. You can make fuel,
Yeah.
And we're talking about solar panels.
It's the best plant actually on Earth if you want to produce ethanol or to make fuel. It's the best damn plant there is because it has a very high cellular content. And it's just so much better than like making ethanol from corn or from sugarcane. It's much more effective, and it's just it's the proper way to do this. If you're gonna make a fuel, use the best damn plant, and the best plant happens to be the cannabis hemp plant.
Oh yeah. That's what I want to do. Get off the grid, make my fuel out of hemp. I can power a generator. If we have solar panels, that'll help.
Can power the farm equipment and everything.
That's true.
Everything. You can produce your own power. All of it. Cannabis can do this for us. All we have to do is let it. I'll tell you, when this is all over, there's going to be a lot of people who are going to have a lot of questions to answer. And I wouldn't want to be in their shoes when that day comes. I wouldn't want to be these people because I think the public's going to be very upset with them.
Well, that's what I was getting into earlier when I was mentioning why we need to talk to politicians. Is because they're doing sneaky stuff, and what I don't know what the quote is, but if you're not, I guess it was I think Nader. If you're not turned on to politics, politics will turn on you.
Oh yeah.
And what's going on? The reason why I was bringing this up earlier is the Rohrabacher Amendment. Were one of the main protections we have for medical cannabis states in the USA. Dana Rohrabacher passed this amendment that guarantees some safety from the federal government prosecuting in states that are legally compliant with medical program, and that it actually ran out. It elapsed when the government shutdown happened, but we're back in business. Coming up on March 23rd, though, is another deadline on that amendment. So that's what we're saying. Contact your politicians, email them, tell them you want to keep this Rohrabacher Amendment in place because we need these protections.
Right.
We had the rescinding of the Cole memo happen recently, and since then, the federal government's been able to put some resources financially towards attacking marijuana in all these states that have legalized or have some sort of protection. So stay on top of it. That's what we're saying. Watch this show.
Well, it's like you said, if nature isn't free, nothing else is either. This is what we have to realize. And and I look back at it's a total horror story. Since they outlawed the cannabis plant, so much destruction, has been forced upon our earth, and so much damage done to the human race. And on top of that, like cannabis was always a wonderful farm crop. It was something they fed their animals with, for God's sakes. And believe me, when you feed an animal cannabis, they're damn healthy. They don't need any growth hormones, and they don't need any antibiotics or anything of that nature. You've got healthy animals, healthy meat to eat. Although I do think we should be eating quite a bit less of it.
Oh, it's so gross.
Yeah.
I saw a video recently where the cows are walking around with the hole in them, and they're putting a.
Oh, it's horrible.
Oh yeah.
If people would watch these big abattoirs and stuff where they do those big slaughterhouses, if they've seen what went on in those damn slaughterhouses, you might never want to eat again or eat meat again. Talk about a horror story. It's of course in a way, they're just taking these animals in, lining them up, and killing them, and it's not much different than what they're actually doing to us.
Seriously.
People get sick. Well, let's give them medicine that doesn't work. Medicine that'll do them more harm. As long as we get money out of them before they die, we'll take as much as we can. That's what it's all about. It's not about healing. It's just about profit margins now.
Yep.
And if you're satisfied to live in a world like that, well, then I really feel sorry for you because you're not a human.
That's the slogan. And this is why it's kind of tough that we got to come together when the government and the media is trying to keep us apart by always creating these divisions between us, Republican and Democrat, for example.
Well, it's all these other distractions, like sports. Who the hell cares who wins? This. I always said that sports really should be for children, adults. And there's a lot of games: baseball, hockey, football, all the rest of it. But in reality, they go out there, you see thousands and thousands of people out there cheering for. What are they cheering about? What effect is that going to have in their life? No effect. The sports stars, they get paid big money. The news media and the TVs and all that, they make a lot of money for putting this stuff on television. But in reality, what does it have to do with our day-to-day lives? Not a damn thing.
That's the bread and circuses.
Distractions, always distractions.
Well, that's interesting because in Greece we went to Parthenon, and it kind of reminded me of this what we're talking about right now is that this has been going on for centuries. They had these big coliseums where back then people would die a little bit different.
I think we should reopen the Coliseum.
Put the politicians
get the Lions back, or reopen the Coliseum and throw the politicians in there. That would be a good way to cure our problems.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. I like that one. I don't understand when it became a party thing, anyways. I don't understand why you can't just vote the issues. It's
Well, most people don't. Really, they don't want to take responsibility for their own lives. They put their trust in governments to lead them down the right path. Well, our governments have not led us down the right path. They've led us down the path to destruction. That's what they've done. It's such a sad thing because, like even the Illuminati have been saying for a long time now, they want to cut the population of this earth down to 500 million.
Yeah.
Do these idiots that are actually working, for the big money interest, do they think that they're going to remain alive? In most cases, they're going to be as dead as us. So they better start acting the right damn horse. And we happen to be that horse. We're the people. That's right.
And going along with that, we can make change. I'll just talk about what recently happened within the last 2 weeks in Colorado. We had something very sinister going on in the form of Senate Bill 29 that was being proposed this session, and it was no joke. Making this up. The one of the representatives who was the sponsor of this bill, I had actually testified against in the past when I was there in Colorado, and marijuana tracking agent bill, where they wanted to pay a research facility, some school, CSU Pueblo, I believe, or one of these schools, to develop a chemical tracking agent or nano tracking agent, something in some form that could be sprayed or put onto legal cannabis. So police can differentiate what the skin is legally or from the black market. And thankfully, we got the word out there and killed it in committee. But this you got to stay on top of this stuff. It's a
Well, what other plant? I mean, the government wants right from seed to harvest. They want that plant has to be tracked right from the time it starts to grow. This is ridiculous. If somebody told you to go out and okay, now you got to track your potato plant or your tomato plant.
yeah.
We have to keep track of this stuff. I mean, both potatoes and tomatoes, as far as I know, they're not addictive and harmless too, just like cannabis. So why the hell are we even allowing this nonsense? If we set the plant free and people just actually start exercising their natural right to grow and use this plant, I mean, when enough of us do that, who can stop us? And it is the most rational solution. Stop listening to these people who have been causing us all this harm. Start listening to your own mind and do a little bit of damn research into what we're saying, and you're going to find out that everything we're telling you is the absolute truth. There's no reason for either one of us to lie. So, for God's sakes, I mean,
Yeah.
it's your future.
Because
So
we're
look
getting
into
paid the
it.
big bucks for our show.
Oh yeah, we're getting paid the big bucks. Yeah.
But I tell you what, though, seriously, Sessions, trying to hype up this whole reefer madness campaign again. He was out there saying that the opioid crisis right now in America is primarily being caused by marijuana and being caused by cannabis. And he's giving these public speeches at places like the American Heritage Foundation, which I want to say that's owned by the Koch brothers. That's the organization that was behind voter interstate crosscheck that got Trump into office. Um, it's that was the funniest thing too. I had so many people on my page saying, "Oh, Trump's pro cannabis," and all this.
Yeah.
It's
I think he's pro money. Period.
these. I don't. At this point, it's hard for me to believe any politician is pro cannabis. To tell you the truth.
Well, I've never met one. I mean, I've met an awful lot of politicians and ministers of health and things of that nature, and they just sit there with a stupid look on their face. They're not willing to get up their asses and do anything for their citizens.
It's
And
the
that's
bare
not just
minimum.
one or two countries. That seems to be the same in all countries. So it's a very very bad situation. And we need. I'm not saying we don't need politics. We do need politicians to some degree, but we need independent people who represent us properly with an open book policy to the public. No more backroom meetings. No more money in the back pocket.
Yep.
You're working for. You deserve respect. There's there. But if you're going to go out there and you're just going to rob us blind and steal everything you can and mislead us and cause all of this destruction, then I don't think that we need people like that in politics. But unfortunately, that's what we have at the present time.
Oh yeah, the majority.
Yeah, vast majority. The only politician I've seen in the U.S. to me that made any sense was Ron Paul.
Oh yeah.
I like what Ron Paul was saying. But as far as the rest of them go, they can put Trump and Hillary and all the rest of them in jail as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
And take Trudeau with them. Put him in there too.
Yeah, Trudeau. That was an interesting thing too. You were talking about this global depopulation that the elites, and I hate calling them the elites. Yeah,
There's nothing elite about these. They're a bunch of murdering assholes. If you want to call that elite, well, it just sickens me. It's the same with all this royalty, blue bloods. Who are these people? You look at the history, you just go to England, look at the history of the royal family of England. Talk about an ugly history. And they spend half their time murdering each other, for God's sakes. But these are the rich elite, and we should bow down to them. I think it's about time they started bowing down to us.
Well, Trudeau was at I can't. The reason I couldn't think of it earlier, I couldn't think of the name of it, but they have this meeting every 2 years or every 4 years. Might even be yearly, but it's one of the things they proposed a few years back was this depopulation. At this,
like anybody has the right to do that.
Yeah, Trudeau was in attendance.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so it's crazy.
Well, I mean, Trudeau, from what I see, I don't know. He comes up with such foolish things that I almost have to feel sorry for him. That man is not, he's just not fit to lead a country or anything else, from what I can see. Basically, to most Canadians now, he's become a damn joke. But the only thing was, the guy that was there before him, the conservative Stephen Harper, he was a bad joke too. It's like I said, it doesn't matter what party you vote for. It's the same when they get in there. It's the same damn thing. They're not going to help you.
Well, they all have the talking to, as I like to put it. You might have one of these politicians that, and you see it portrayed in movies all the time, that might be optimistic, and then all of a sudden they get into office, and then the people with the money come in and say, well, actually, doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
And this is how you need to do this. Because, we'll defund your next campaign, we'll fund the other guy, we'll do all sorts of other things.
Yeah.
Slander you in the media, we'll pull a file on you, we'll catch you in a hotel room with a scantily clad woman. It's endless what they can do. It's a little more advanced than police departments, but it's the same kind of kind of locker room culture where it's like you need to fall in line or you're going to get kicked out, and it's a big problem in my opinion. And I think JFK might have been one of the last ones to stand strong. What happened to him?
Well, I did have a lot of respect for Kennedy, and I've always stated that I think he's actually the last president that the United States really had. Is what followed him. Oh my God.
Yeah.
For Obama and all that change and everything he was going to do. Well, what the hell did he do?
Yeah.
And the same thing with Trump. When I see Trump, they all said Trump's a billionaire. He's against the big money. Well, the people that run this planet, they're actually trillionaires, many times over.
100 billion.
So again, like I said, who do you think's running the show, Donald Trump or these guys? I think it's the big money, not Donald Trump. They're all puppets. They're just puppets. And I don't know why anybody should expect them to tell you the truth.
It's sad. Because I don't know, people for some reason they just swallow up what the media tells them, and the media, they glorify these stories with these big philanthropists. Well, guess what? The media is owned by these people that they're doing the stories on. And taking a step further, I recently saw an article which was pretty provocative and interesting, saying that there really is no such thing as philanthropy when it comes to these big money billionaires. That they only the things that come off as philanthropy that we're told in the public, oh yeah, he gave X amount of dollars to this organization.
Yeah.
They only do it in order to gain more political influence in the country where they're doing it in.
Mm-hmm.
So they might be in Uganda or some one of these other places.
They try to make themselves look good. That's what it's all about. But I mean, all this stuff about philanthropy and foundation. I've been doing this for almost 20 years. No philanthropist has ever got behind me, to do this right. No foundations have ever got behind me. The problem is, you see, nobody wants to get behind me because I want to reduce the damn price down to where it should be. We should be able to go out there, grow cannabis freely on a grand scale and produce these extracts for no more. And the highest quality medicinal extract should not cost more than $10 a gram. Companies and the rich people, they don't want to do that. They want $100 or $150. And they got people so brainwashed into it. Like, well, what is it? The leading cause of bankruptcy in the United States? Oh, big surprise. should you live in a country like that? When you can grow your own damn medicine, which is much more effective and a whole hell of a lot safer. You know,
And you can make it at home with basic household appliances.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same concept of the pharmaceutical industry. They have these big fancy machines to synthesize drugs, and they now can take one pill and charge $100 for a pill,
Mhm.
only on the assumption that you can't do that. But
Right.
with cannabis, you can't do that.
Can't do that.
And that's why those CBD companies and all these other tincture companies, these kind of people hate our message because they buy these fancy machines, $50,000 machines. And they say, oh yeah, well our oil is better or cleaner or blah blah blah. We have more research, we have scientists, whatever. The point we're trying to make is not that we're anything special or we have anything special, is that you can do this.
Yeah, you don't need to be
yourself.
an expert. Just go out and plant. Get your hands dirty. Plant a few plants. Get some good indica strains. Start growing them. And like I said, if someone like me can produce the extract, anybody can. There's nothing to this. A child can do it, for God's sakes. There's no rocket science. There's no need for great big laboratories. Although, in the future, once we get the medicine, to the point where we should be able to learn, what level of cannabinoids would be the most effective to treat each and every different medical problem. That would take a bit of, some laboratories and a bit of science. But we already know that the plant has amazing healing abilities. And, and if you just turned it loose, like neighbors would be competing against each other. Who can grow the best? Who can grow the most medicinal, the strongest? Because that's what it's really all about. And in no time, the medicinal qualities of cannabis would go right through the roof. It would be much higher than they are at the present time.
It would be amazing.
Yeah, it would be. It's the human race themselves. We're the ones that are we're holding ourselves back. We're allowing these people to control us.
Yeah.
And no one, if I walked up to you and I told you, if your mother was dying, and I told you that you have no right to grow the most medicinal plant in the world to treat her effectively, what would you think of me? What do you think of all these rich elites that are doing the same thing to each and every one of us? It's time to bring this nonsense to an end. I'm not calling so much for retribution or anything. I just look at these people as being very, very sick-minded. They are psychopaths. But, we need to take the power and the money and resources away from them. We can't let these people remain in control, because they're going to destroy the human race. And they've already done a pretty damn good job of destroying about half of this planet. And given a little bit more time, destroy the rest. So this is not what we need for the future.
And it's a big task. One of the things you can do right now is you can boycott these brands. We have Monsanto is one of the big ones.
Nestle.
They own them. Yeah,
all
Nestle.
Kinds of them. Yeah. Stop buying their products. Stop buying. Like newspapers. What do you buy newspapers for? Just a pack of lies in it. Why do you watch your television? If you want to watch something, go and get yourself a documentary or go on YouTube. There's all kinds of wonderful documentaries out there that actually might teach you something, instead of this dribble you see on TV. God, I don't think there's anything on TV worth watching anymore.
Oh no, everything I watch is recorded.
Yeah, YouTube.
YouTube's been great. They do have a lot of stuff. And if you're on there, why not type in "illegally alive"? You can see a pretty decent film that me and Dale finished last year. There's
better to be illegally alive than legally dead. It's that damn simple.
Well, they want you legally dead. They just want you dead.
Yeah.
That's the thing too, is all these people, these politicians, these big companies, they break the law all the time.
Oh yeah. Well, they go after us for income tax and all that. How much money do these bigwigs pay? They laugh at income tax, for God's sakes. And this is actually a very good way of getting at these politicians. Is just stop paying the damn income tax. I understand, to control or to keep our infrastructure in place, a certain percentage of our wages, yes, you had to pay tax. I have no problem with 10% or something like that. But it's not 10%. It's way, way above that. And on top of that, everything you buy, your gasoline,
sales tax,
your cigarettes or whatever, sales tax, tax. So this is what this has done. It's allowed these governments to get so huge and top heavy with bureaucracy should be, well, as far as I'm concerned, government should be lean and mean. You don't need all of these damn departments of everything. I think most people, most of us, like we want to obey the damn laws and be good citizens. But when we let our world go to hell like this, and then really we are living in a drug addicted society. With all these opiates and everything that are out there today, and so many drug addicts. It's not. I mean, when I grew up, we never even locked our houses. We didn't take the keys out of the ignition. There, the house was open. There was nobody robbing anyone. Today, you leave your house for an afternoon, you come back, it'll be cleaned out. This is not a sensible way to live, and it's not sensible for us to put up with this nonsense. And I said before, if you put these people that are drug addicts at the present time, if you put them on cannabis extracts, you could actually bring them back into being productive citizens again instead of thieves. And I think that again would be very, very beneficial, to our future.
Yeah, and it's real tough too because we talk about this whole systems, this system, this system, this system. The police system, the prison system. They're all systems of oppression, really. And the
Right.
problem that many people have is they might have had cannabis, maybe when they were 15, 16 years old. God forbid they're black or brown skinned,
Yeah.
and then the police come, harass them, throw them in jail, and then brand them a felon. And these people now, these kids, they can't get jobs, so they have to keep committing crimes. And it all goes into freeing the plant.
Yeah.
This is
Well, it's the same with me when I was young. I was still drinking alcohol like an idiot. Many of my friends, they smoked pot, and they would get caught. They'd go to court, and they got the criminal record. They could never get a decent job after that because now you're a criminal. Well, they're making people criminals over something that's not even really a legitimate crime, and that's ruining their damn lives. It's not much wonder people find life today to be so hopeless. It is hopeless at the present time.
yeah, it definitely can seem that way.
Mm.
For sure.
Oh yeah, I mean, I feel sorry for like all the Indian nations in Canada and the U.S. The black race. Look what they've done to them. Like 3/4 of the people that got locked up are of color. It's ridiculous. What we've allowed them to do and get away with. We're all flesh and blood, no matter what color we are, what ethnic group. It doesn't matter. We're all just humans, and I think it's just about time we started acting as such.
Yeah, it's crazy. You have this Jeff Sessions. He gave another speech this last week talking about protecting the Anglo-American
Oh
heritage.
yeah, I heard that one.
And
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
and so many people will write this stuff off, and they'll say, "Oh no, no, that doesn't mean what you think it means." It's like these guys don't just talk like we're talking here
Right.
off the cuff.
Yeah.
Every word is carefully
No script.
planned,
Yeah.
precision placed. There's a reason why this word's next to this word.
Mhm.
And it's the level of outright corruption these politicians have, disregard for humanity. It seems right. Bigotry. This last few years have been insane in the U.S. to watch. I'm glad to watch from afar. But one of the first things you need to do is turn off the TV.
Yeah.
Once you turn off the TV, like we're saying, that's a good way to stop this message. You don't need to know about the Kardashians and
Yeah.
Caitlyn
Who cares
Jenner.
about the Kardashians?
No, it's but
I laughed at there was a guy on YouTube here the other day. He was going around asking people who Elon Musk was, and nobody knew. But when he asked, the next question he would ask them, "Oh, do you know who Kim Kardashian is?" Well, they all knew who she was. She's so important to the existence of the human race. The one with the big butt. God Almighty.
No, it's crazy.
That's a celebrity.
Well, I always get
real.
baffled. I'm like, how is that even news?
Yeah, what's the attraction?
Even if you call it entertainment news or whatever, it's in its own entertainment section. Why is NBC covering this? Why is I don't understand this.
And all these actors you see today, and all their sensitive things, and what went on there after that election. Half the actors in the United States were going to leave, weren't they? If Trump got elected, they're just actors are no different than the rest of us. They all got opinions, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we should listen. and follow their lead. Because these people are they're actors.
No, it's crazy.
That's all there is to it.
I love it too, and it's like
At least we're real.
It's like some big tragedy that this happened, Hurricane Katrina or something. They'll be like, wait, I need to get Kanye's response to this.
Oh, Kanye. Oh, he would know now, wouldn't he? Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I hate to see today. I find so many of these people, like ones I used to have respect for to some degree. Norm Chomsky. I think many decades ago, I listened to a lot of things that Norm Chomsky said, and they made good sense. But I find today that Norm Chomsky is basically nothing much more than a gatekeeper. When you start talking about or asking about 9/11 or anything of that nature, well, that's just ancient history, and it all should be forgotten. That's a gatekeeper.
I didn't hear that one. I'm a fan of him too, so that's disappointing.
Yeah, I was really. And if you look at some of these clips up there of Norm Chomsky, read the comments, and everybody's seeing through it. They realize he is a gatekeeper. Like somebody's paying him enough money to try to smooth things over with the public. That's what all these gatekeepers do.
Well, I hate to break it to you guys, but unfortunately, in my opinion and in my experience, I think that Raphael Michelin, has become a gatekeeper in that same regard for our movement.
Mm-hmm. Well, they've always people like Michelin. They've always pushed for the pharmaceutical industry. And the same thing with Lester Grinspoon. Dr. Grinspoon.
Yeah, Grinspoon.
He came out against me. Well, in High Times magazine, when they did the article, the next edition of High Times, he did an article for them, and basically, he just told people that you shouldn't go near this stuff. These cannabis extracts. But yet, this is the same man who, for decades, have always talked about how non-toxic this plant was. I was making the essential oil from the most medicinal plant on earth, and then he comes out against it. Again, but the last I heard, that gatekeeper got prostate cancer, and last I heard, he was using my extracts.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I heard about it here quite a while ago.
That's real interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, speaking of that, you've had quite a few people come out that have. It seems like that they are open to talk about it when they're first on it, but then all of a sudden they don't want to talk about your oils anymore. Like I know kind of that's the case with what Chong and Michael J. Fox, is that?
Well, I look at Cheek and Chong as being, I don't know about Michael J. Fox, if he's still on pine nut oil or something. He's got all these he took him $750 million, and he's looking for, something that'll help with Parkinson's. Well, guess what? I got it.
I thought he was using it secretly. That was my prediction.
I don't know what he's doing. But who are going to talk about somebody else there?
Chong.
Oh yeah, Tommy Chong. No, Tommy Chong. I contacted Tommy Chong myself on the telephone, and I wanted him to come to when I was in Canada back in 2012, 2013. I wanted him to come to see that he got the proper treatment. Well, he never did come to me. He went to Dr. Neil McKinney out in British Columbia, and Neil got him fixed up. And I have a great deal of respect for Dr. McKinney. But when you look at Tommy Chong, when he went on CNN, he openly stated, I'm going to use the Rick Simpson oil. Wonderful. And then 6 or 8 weeks later, he goes back on CNN and tells everyone that his blood work's the best it's ever been. He's feeling great, but it didn't do a damn thing for his prostate cancer. And then 2 or 3 weeks later, on his site, he's openly stating that he's cancer-free. I don't know. These people are just, they come and go, the things they say. But I was talking to my son, or my daughter here just recently in Canada, and Cheek and Chong were on a tour across Canada, and they were in Moncton, New Brunswick. And that's only about 55 miles from where I lived. And I guess Tommy Chong got up before the whole audience and openly stated, he said, Rick Simpson saved my life. Yes. So it's good to hear that. But, I would like to see Cheek and Chong join us instead of the normal crowd. They're all, they're going along with the taxation and regulations. And so at the present time, so are Cheek and Chong. They should be with us. They should be fighting for the freedom of us all. Instead of really, when I look at normal and all of these outfits, it's the big money behind. The big money is controlling them.
Oh yeah.
So I think that there's a lot of good people affiliated with Normal, but the leadership of Normal I wouldn't trust them as far as I could throw them.
Yeah, it's real interesting. A lot of people affiliated with normal,
Mm.
and everyone that's like at a grassroots level, I've enjoyed. I love. They're all great
Oh yeah,
people.
yeah.
They've all seemed to be great. But once you start getting higher up in there, it's so much infighting, and
They
it's
were
just
against this thing with me. I mean, Alan St. Pierre, he was the national director of Normal back around 2008. He sent me an email that, what I was providing was snake oil and all of this nonsense. Here's a national, director of Normal. So I wrote back to him and I told him, I said, just go make some. Put it on a skin cancer, watch what happens. Any fool can prove this. He was totally against me. And then we had the other national director of Normal in Canada. I can't think of his name now, but he was another one. I went to a meeting at Dalhousie University, and this fool got up right before the audience and openly stated, he said, cannabis does not cure cancer. And there was 2 or 3 of my patients were sitting in the damn audience, patients that I had cured their cancer. I couldn't believe the statements this man made. I mean, he was a total idiot. And even Keith Strunk. I was on Time for Hemp one night with Casper Leach, and I
oh
told
yeah.
him, what I thought of Normal. I had no use for them. And matter of fact, that's the reason I don't do shows with Casper Leach anymore because they advertise to get money for Normal, and I'm not gonna take no part in that. But he called Keith Strunk and got Keith Strunk. Now Keith Strunk was the founder of Normal, and when he came on the air, I started telling him about Alan and that other idiot in Canada. And but it's like, oh no, Rick, we think what you're doing up there in Canada is wonderful. And I said, well, if it's so damn wonderful, why the hell don't you get behind it? Well, in 3 or 4 years, Rick, it'll be legal. I said, yeah. And what's going to happen to all the people that are suffering, dying right now? What's going to happen to them?
Yep.
I didn't get an answer to that one.
Oh yeah.
That's normal.
It's just insanity. It's all these magazines. They all
Oh, High Times and the rest of them. They're just garbage.
well, they all promote each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And all these same. You were telling me you saw like top activists of the U.S. or something, and
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just a bunch of phonies.
Yeah, there's people on there I never even heard of. Jack Harriman, when it was Jack's dying wish when he passed away that I become the leader of the damn movement. And since that time, I've done my best to fulfill that role. But now the top activists in the world are a bunch of people I've never heard of. And Keith Strunk is even on that. He's being one of the top activists. He's a lawyer. Oh, yeah. Good job, Keith. Uh, Foolishness. Just foolishness.
I've heard it. National Organization for the Referral of Marijuana Lawyers.
Well, I mean, this is a case. I mean, with the legal system. Well, I said it to my own lawyer one time when I was going through the charter challenge. I said, would I be right in thinking that half the lawyers in this country are making a living off of cannabis cases? And he agreed with me. He said, yeah. He said, you'd be right. And he said, Rick. He openly told me. He said, lawyers are crooks.
Right.
I said, yeah, I'm aware of that fact. Thank you. The whole damn system. People go out and hire a lawyer, and they think the lawyer's working for them. Well, that lawyer's a member of the bar. He's not working for you. He's working for them, and you're paying him to do it. It's ridiculous. By any chance at all, if you go into court, for God's sakes, educate yourself a little bit, represent yourself, and don't be afraid of these people. These are just idiots up there. The judge all dressed up in his little black robe. He looks like a damn penguin. What makes these people any better than us? And after seeing the court system in Canada, I can tell you one thing: you're never going to find justice in any damn court in Canada. Justice, that's a joke. They make the rules up as they go. That's how they convicted me. Jury tampering by the Crown prosecutor. Nothing was ever. He did the same thing in another oil case, for God's sakes. But that one, they just dismissed the case and swept it under the rug. And he's still the Crown prosecutor. This is our justice system.
Well, it's normally what they do. The high-profile cases they dismiss.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, there's thousands of others. The entire other workload of this prosecutor. He's doing the same. All of them.
Well, even the police departments. The police are going out and intentionally hiring people with very low intelligence. That's what it's all about. I mean, back in 1970, best friend, probably one of the smartest men on this planet. I mean, this man is highly intelligent. He went in and he wanted to become an RCMP officer. He went in, he took the tests. Before he left the building, and he said, he said you made very high scores on your tests, but your tests also prove that you're a free thinker, and there's no room for free thinkers in the RCMP.
Oh, wow.
They want people with limited intelligence. Then they put a little badge on them and give them guns and all the rest of it. And half of these people, at least half, and probably 90% of them, don't even have a damn clue about what the hell they're doing, and they don't know the difference between right and wrong.
No, they only they get to choose what's right.
Yeah. Put a gun in your face. I've seen that before. You're standing there unarmed and they got a gun to your forehead.
Oh yeah.
Like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Jesus. I can see it if there's some young guy muscled up. But I was back in those times. I was 55 years old, for God's sakes. I never had a drug charge in my life. And I'm the big bad criminal. For helping people. That's what sickened me so badly about Canada. I tried to do everything I could, and do what was right for the Canadian people, but they acting that I should have got, and like I said, well, in a way, it wasn't a lot of the fault can't be it can't be stated that it was with the people, because I did have patients and everything ready to testify. They wouldn't let them on the stand.
That's what I was.
People cured two. I had 2 patients out of the 10 I had brought into court. 2 of them had been cured with terminal cancers. They wouldn't let them on the stand. They wouldn't let the doctors on the stand. They wouldn't let me introduce the scientific evidence. Because we're not allowed to have a medical argument. We're talking about the oldest and most medicinal plant on Earth. And that's a well-known fact. Even back in the ancient texts, back in Iran. They listed at that time, this is like about 800, 900 years before Christ, they listed the 10,000, in fact, over 10,000 medicinal plants, all the different medicinal plants. And, the plants of the highest value. Number 1 plant on that list. Big secret. And you go back like 8, 9 centuries ago, or on the 11th, 12th centuries. There's even writings there about how effective it was in treating tumors. But today they can't find the cure. Isn't that, it seems to me that, all of these people might not be so educated. A fool like me can figure it out. Why can't they?
Well, I'll tell you, it's a lot of the times the nice argument they always like to tell us, us activists always say, well, show us the studies or enough studies. It's like the point about studies is all studies have to be financed from somewhere. The studies don't just magically happen. There's a lot of stuff that happens. Normally they pay the patients who come in. They pay everyone involved. Not only all the testing and all this other stuff that's involved. There's big money that it costs to finance one of these studies, especially if it's months long, years long. Mm-hmm. And guess where they get that financing from to do this study? All of these studies come from pharmaceutical companies. There's no big cannabis dispensary financing studies that are pro-cannabis. So everything we have, for the most part, regarding cannabis plant and a study is all slanted to be anti-cannabis by the financiers. And if you notice, that's kind of the common trend of what we're talking about today is everything seems to be biased by financiers, and that's what you need to just try to take your reliance off of these people as much as you can. Anything you can do at home, try to do it at your home.
Well, I've openly challenged them. I was doing a radio show one time in Halifax, the Rick Howe show. And, I read on some cancer patients called. It was an open line show. Cancer patients had used the extracts were calling in. It was all very positive. But I openly challenged the system right there. I said, why don't we prove this once and for all? If I'm a fraud or if I'm wrong, prove it. Just give me 12 cancer patients. Let the system take 12 cancer patients. Give me 12 cancer patients. Let's see who has the best batting average. Do you think they ever took me up on that one? Not on your life. They still get people running around, I got to take my chemo. And I hate these emails when I get them. I want to take the oil along with the chemo. Why the hell do people think that poison is good for them? Radiation, that's poisoning too. And the minute you take these treatments, you lose your immune cells out. I mean, who in their right mind could look at that and say that this is a rational treatment when it's actually a well-known fact that these treatments are carcinogenic, cancer-causing treatments? This talk about insanity.
The doctors convince them. They say, "Oh
Oh
no, this is
yeah,
good for
I got the
you."
white coat on, a little stethoscope. You got to believe every word I tell you because your television brainwashed you into thinking that way. That's exactly what happened.
Oh yeah.
Ben Casey, Dr. Kildare, Marcus Willoughby, all those caring physicians.
Gupta.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Sanjay Gupta.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
he was listed as one of the top activists too.
Oh Jesus. Well, there you go.
You imagine that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Sanjay, for all the help you've given. You go talk about epilepsy, which is a horrible thing. I agree. But I hate to tell you this, Sanjay, but we're in the middle of a goddamn cancer epidemic. Why the hell don't you talk about cancer?
Well, because he wants to talk about CBD oil.
Oh yeah, CBD. Like I said, I got nothing against CBD. It does have, and in some types of hormone-driven cancers, higher levels of CBD can be beneficial. But for God's sakes, stop emailing me and asking me what ratio of THC and CBD should be used, because that research has never been done. The governments have always prevented it. So there's nobody that I know of on this earth who give you an accurate answer to that question. I mean, in a short time, once the research is allowed and we're set free, in a very short time, we could come up with these answers. But at the present time, nobody can answer that question.
I do like what you mentioned last time about making the oil from multiple strains in order to get a wider range of cannabinoids.
Well, that's very true. I mean, all these different indica strains, they all have very, very good medical benefits from what I've seen, in one way or another. But most of them are very effective. I'd say at least 90% of indicas are very effective in the treatment of cancer. In fact, it might be well over 90%. So, but I always found, some strains are different. Some strains will relieve pain that opiates can't even touch. Or they'll control blood sugar levels for diabetes and start undoing all the damage that horrible disease leaves behind. And, all of these different medical abilities of each different strain. So, if you have like six or eight different types of extracts right there at your disposal, well, then just take them, mix them together. And when you do that, that's when you come up with that's the reason I call these extracts a cure-all. Because people were coming to me with, terminal cancer, arthritis, gallbladder problems, and, 5, 6 different things wrong with them. In 3 months, cancer's gone, and so is everything else. They're back in a state of good health. So I'm all in favor of mixing the different extracts together, at least until we get this perfected, so we know exactly what cannabinoid levels are the most effective. At that point, I think it'll still wind up being a mixture. But I mean, this is a rational way of approaching it. But at the present time, it's like I said, it's like a madhouse out there. And I hate seeing so many people being scammed, by others who are using my name. It seems like Rick Simpson oil is everywhere now, and you go into I think every dispensary in the U.S. get RSO.
Yeah.
Well, that's not real RSO because I didn't make it. And God knows what it is. Some of it might be okay. It might help cure you.
I think most of them make it from trim.
Yeah, this is what I've always said. Now, I've seen this so many times because they'll say, well, we can't get our levels up any higher than 60% THC. And I said, well, you're using garbage then. You're using the small buds and you're using the leaves and you're making these extracts and you're taking the good bud and you're selling it. That's what's going on. Because if you have good high quality bud, which is 20% THC or more, and a lot of these strains now are 25% and even higher, up into the 30% range. So when you take a pound of bud material, something you say that's 25% THC, you take a pound of that bud material and you make that concentrate, and you concentrate that, it's not hard to hit 90% or 85%. Matter of fact, it's quite easy to do. So that's a lot of the problem. What you're seeing in the dispensaries, it's just trim and trash that they can't sell. So they turn it into oil, and then they put my name on it. RSO. Very pathetic.
Yeah, I got in it with one of them fairly recently. who had done that. They put the stamp on their thing, and they were selling it in a dispensary. And I was like, "This isn't RSO." And I'm like, "Rick doesn't even know you." And he's like, "Well, we just put that on there so consumers will make a connection between him and our product." And I'm like, "That's exactly like how the law is stated that you're breaking right now, like infringement and who knows how many other freaking laws."
Well, if people would just understand, I mean, none of these companies had my permission to use my name. So this is the type of people you're actually dealing with. And the simple truth is, there's actually no reason for anybody to be using my name anyway. I mean, if you produce good extracts that are powerful, have powerful medicinal qualities, these extracts will make their own reputation. It doesn't have to be RSO. But so many people are using that. These companies seized on it. So they're all producing RSO. But some of these companies, I mean, there's one there, Cannabis in the U.S. I watched a video, and they were talking about CBD and all this, and then, and we even supply the RSO. So I went to their damn website. Yeah, they do. I don't know what quality it is, but it's $130 a gram. Nice people.
That's crazy.
It's total insanity. It's highway robbery, is what it is. People are just as bad as the pharmaceutical industry. That's the problem. They all want to fill their pockets. But in reality, most of these big companies that are getting involved in this are actually controlled by the same big money interests that control the pharmaceutical industry, because they've moved in on this. And they're doing the same damn thing in Canada.
Yeah, these CBD companies, it's the same thing. I mean, 1 gram when you think of it, you break it down, it's 1,000 milligrams. That's why these CBD companies love it because they'll sell you one bottle.
Mhm.
It might be 30 milliliters or whatever, 30 fluid ounce, whatever it contains, but it's 150 milligrams of CBD.
Yeah.
So you have to multiply that times 6 or 7, and that's the price of 1 gram you're paying this company. It's crazy.
It's crazy. I know. I was in Amsterdam. I was in a store there, and they were selling CBD extracts. They had 2%, 4%, and 8%. And I said, well, this doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And he said, well, one drop is 2%, and if you take 4 drops, that makes 8%. Oh, that doesn't make a damn bit of sense. And I said, okay. I said, so you got something here that's 2 or 4%. What the hell's the other 96%? And the guy standing behind the counter, he just looked at me, didn't know what to say. You talk about making profit margins. These people are really good at it.
Oh yeah.
And this stuff is expensive.
Yeah, that's the insane thing. And legalization, like I know personally as an activist, I don't fight to be able to purchase cannabis legally, expensive legally, or whatever, however you want to phrase it, to purchase expensive cannabis legally. I'm an activist because I want to be able to grow this legally. It's crazy how so much of the time we come in, we fight for this, and then we'll just get one law passed, and then the businesses come in and they start changing that law and altering that law. And
they can manipulate it, because you got friends in high places in the government circles. Well, you can get your way if you pay enough money or make enough promises.
Oh yeah.
But this is not the way things should be run at all. And my God, it's been this has been to the detriment of us all. I mean, we should be living this planet. About 150 years ago, they went right down the wrong path. I mean, if we had to use cannabis properly, this planet wouldn't be polluted the way it is today. We wouldn't be suffering and dying the way we are today. Everything would be so much different and so much better. So it's, I know people are to lead their little lives and they're all afraid, they're going to lose their job in the pill factory. Well, who cares? I mean, basically cannabis can put an end to unemployment and put people back on the land. Growing cannabis, something that's beneficial to everyone. This is not going to cost any jobs. As a matter of fact, it's going to make jobs. Like you said, you might lose your job in the pill factory, yeah, but you'll have lots of other work to go to.
Well, if that job hasn't already been replaced or been shipped overseas.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing. Everybody's turned into all these big places, all robots now. It's like we're working ourselves out of jobs.
I'm telling you, I saw a YouTube video. It was Steck Robot. and it was a cloning robot. I was like, oh man, we're in for some trouble now. This robot could literally take a plant, cut a clone, dip it in Clonex gel, put it in rooting, rock wool, and then send it on its way. And it's the next one over and over. I'm like, man, scary.
They could do the same thing. I mean, robots could build other robots. It's just going on and on. This artificial intelligence thing kind of scares me because this really does look a lot like the Terminator business, and I don't think we need anybody with big red glowing eyes chasing us around. But that is just definitely a possibility. And I read a lot about nanotechnology many years ago, and it was scary then because they had these little nanobots. They said that they could reproduce themselves. Well, if they start using something like that as a weapon, which they could easily do, because the rich elite have access to all of this, that would make it very bad for the human race. So there's any number of reasons why we have to put a stop to their domination, because their intentions towards us all are very destructive.
Well, there's a lot we could talk about today, and I know we have over this point 224 comments. So if you got a question, you want to go through the questions?
I don't have any questions. I'm just going to go to the toilet again.
Okay.
I'm right back.
All right, we'll wrap up the show by going through you guys' questions, and then we'll go ahead and let you guys keep going on to your regular lives and go out there and fight. And that's what's needed, education, fighting. And just remind everybody you're watching the Mike Wise Show. I always do it wrong because we're backwards. So there you go. Whoa, hey. Share this post. We're giving away a pack of seeds by OG Labs. It's probably going to be some, I don't know. You'll see a magic pack, maybe a Ottoman Empire pack of seeds, which they're pretty nice. That's actually what I'm smoking on, coincidentally, for the show. You want to give me one of those, the jar that's labeled 5 on it? So we'll show you some of it. And we always say you can grow this at home, make your own oil, this kind of thing. Everyone always asks me for which strain to use, and so I started growing and saving. I've been keeping a seed bank of my own strains for the last 4 years or so. So I'm breeding my own, and it looks pretty good. This one came out pretty good. I was happy with it. Oh, well. Oh yeah, I don't know if you can see it, cause we're green. I'll put it in front of my shirt. There you go. Can of buds. Whoa, whoa, whoa. It's green, so it's a green screen. So I don't know what we're on a green screen set today. Can't show you. We'll show you on another show. But share this post. Get a chance to win some seeds. And if you got any questions, now is the time to ask them, and we'll get to them. So I'll start from the top. I guess from the top over. Let's see. There's so many. Maybe I won't even. No, I can keep going. Okay. Everyone is saying thank you. I can't scroll too much more. Maybe we'll just go on the recent questions. Let's see. They're saying same things happening in the UK. Politicians just lining their pockets. Let's see. Someone Starla's using RSO to treat non-Hodgkin's. I think that's what it is. Follicular lymphoma. It just said NH, so I had to figure out the abbreviation. Along with a change in diet. Let's see. She's been dumped by her doctor for doing this treatment.
Well, if she had stayed with the doctor would have killed her.
She said she didn't want to poison herself with the chemo.
Very wise.
Yeah. Well, I'm telling you, chemo kills more people than it cures. It's crazy.
Oh, of course it does. Radiation's no better.
All right, Brandy wants to know my thoughts, or our thoughts, I guess, on Texas legalization. I can tell you from personal experience, being a proud Texan myself, is
Deep in the heart of Texas.
Stars and stripes. is, is Texas is the same thing. There's a lot of corruption going on in Texas. My father was a politician in Texas in the state. He was a state representative, so I got to see kind of witness this from the inside. And at this time, we didn't talk about cannabis. I was young too. I wasn't consuming at the time. But cannabis policy and being in the Colorado capital in this kind of area, cannabis rejuvenated. I was like, oh well, maybe there actually is hope, because this is an issue that maybe they really don't know about. But I found that it's the same corruption there.
It is.
These people, they're paid off by the pharmaceutical industry, the alcohol industry, the restaurant industry, several other industries. There's many industries. They're paid off by them. There's lobbying groups. In Colorado, we had Smart Colorado is this organization. This is pushing all reefer madness propaganda. And they're getting money from the state to do this. They're getting matching funds from the state and all sorts of this stuff. So in Texas, while I was there, we had two or three times we had a bill come up that was proposed, and we're gonna get this, through committee hopefully and get it voted on. Most of them died in committee. I don't even know if we got to the House floor to get one even voted on. In Texas, I know right now they're doing some sort of compassionate program, a compassionate use or some sort of program. They're allowing small amounts of CBD, like low percentage amounts of CBD for a limited amount of conditions. Yeah.
So many of these states, like Kansas, seem backwards, unbelievably backwards.
Oh, they're some of the worst.
Yeah, some of the worst.
Those Bible Belt states, yeah. They have these backwards politicians. They elect some of these crazy, like racist, open racist, KKK members. A lot of times you have these guys. It really is insane. And so with Texas, I can only just say keep pushing for full legalization. The original Colorado program was great. What it's morphed into is turned into something shitty, but the original bill is a good one to look up if you want to model something after that. You need to be able to grow. Everyone needs to be able to grow. And everyone needs to be able to process this.
Well, I say, don't demand legalization and repeal.
Repeal.
Because when you have laws based on nothing but corruption, and that's what this is all about, these laws should be thrown in a trash can where they belong, and that means repeal.
Yeah.
And do that in every state and in every country on the planet. And then we could start having our life would improve a great deal in a very short time.
That would definitely jumpstart it. That's for sure. So that's what we recommend. Patients need this. Small amounts of CBD don't work for a large majority of conditions. In my experience, I can say in Rick's experience, we found high THC works best for a large majority of these things. So that doesn't mean legalize THC only. It's just prohibition.
It is that effective, that entourage effective. All the cannabinoids working together. I know here a few years ago I was talking to a doctor and he was really pushing CBD, and I told him, I said, CBD, it has benefits. I won't deny that, but I said, you got to have the other cannabinoids, and especially THC. And they were trying to treat children with autism. And he told me himself here just a short time, a few months ago here, I was talking to him again, and he said, you're right. He said, actually we found some of the patients that we were trying to treat, the high CBD was detrimental. And he said, but as soon as we put the THC in there, everything changed, But again, I always push, like I said, all the different cannabinoids, not just one or two, all of them. That's where the magic happens.
Yeah. I have a nice little comparison I always like to say when it comes to this. And, going with the sports analogy, you could say you're fighting a disease like cancer. And we'll say cancer is the New York Yankees. And you want to be then you're using CBD only or maybe even THC only or something like this. That's maybe Albert Pujols playing against the Yankees instead of the whole St. Louis Cardinals, which is the whole plant, playing against the Yankees. Then you have a fair chance of fighting this disease. You have the whole team
Right.
instead of just one player.
It's going after not just the, like you said, when you're treating a cancer patient, this is a very very effective. In fact, it's the most effective treatment on the planet for cancer. But the other cannabinoids that are in these extracts are actually helping with many other medical conditions themselves. So it's like I said, that like full spectrum, extracts. As far as I'm concerned, are the name of the game. And but I'll always be a big believer in high THC levels because that's where I've seen all the magic. I mean, when you see terminal cancer patients that maybe have 2 weeks to live, and then they come back a month later, and they're you can see it coming right back, and their color, everything, they're gaining weight, they're looking healthier, getting much healthier. When you see that kind of healing power, and I mean, like I said, all the extracts I made were extremely powerful. So with achieving that type of result, as far as I'm concerned, until I'm disproven, I'm always going to be thinking this way.
Well, going along with that, we had a question here from Robbie. He was wondering, do you still make your own oil?
Well, if I have access to the material, you see, the trouble is, well, same with Mike and myself, neither one of us have much money. And, the starting material over here, like I can't grow it because, well, all these authorities in these countries, they know who I am, for God's sakes. And, as a matter of fact, I just did a TV interview in Zagreb here just recently. And, they put it up there, Rick Simpson, oil supplier.
Oh yeah, oil producer.
But the police never came. I mean, I'm not in a position to supply anyone with extracts. As a matter of fact, I can't even supply myself because I don't have the money I need to go buy the starting material. So it's a grim situation. But maybe one of these days I'll get involved in one of these projects, and maybe we can get this going in the right direction for a change. But at the present time, I wish, I get these emails so often. I wish I could help people, but I'm just simply not in a situation to do that. And I don't know why, but people, because I've become well known and stuff like that, they all think that I'm rich. And believe me, there's nothing rich about me. And Mike's no different.
Yeah, I remember we were taking your car last time in Ljubljana, and we had to change a few things under the hood because it wouldn't run.
Yeah, my God. I'm driving a 30-year-old car. Yeah. In fact, I don't even have that now. But, this is like I said, for anybody, if you think that I'm wealthy, you're not thinking properly, believe me.
That's actually what Kim wanted to know. Would you eventually trademark RSO to stop the cheap imitations from hitting stores?
Well, this is what I'd hope to do. If I can get involved with the right people, I would like to go out and trademark my name and then put a stop to all of this nonsense. And then, like I said, if I can work with these companies and we can get a uniform product out there, that we know the medical values of, we know what strains it was produced from, bring stability into this industry. Well, then I would definitely use my name. But, to me, it's always been about, getting the price down so people can afford it. I mean, how many of us got like, $10,000 just to throw away? If you could go out and buy a full cancer treatment for $500 or $600, I would have no problem with that. And that could easily be accomplished once cannabis is set free. But, like so many of these people, they're paying huge amounts of money. They're getting very poor quality extracts. In fact, some of them have no qualities at all. And they're paying thousands of dollars. I know a woman in the U.S. She paid $20,000 U.S. for a cancer treatment.
Wow.
She never even received it.
That's crazy.
That's the way it is.
Yeah, we had Lorraine wanted to know what you thought your chances are of the UK repealing prohibition.
Again, they'll have to repeal, or not necessarily. They'll go through the legalization and decriminalization nonsense, but they're going to drag their feet as long as they possibly can. In all these countries, the UK, Ireland, it's the same no matter where you go. But, really, these laws should immediately be repealed because they're not based in reality. It's that simple. And everybody knows it. That's what always made me so angry with NORML because, NORML has a vast number of lawyers at their disposal. But yet all of these lawyers for the last 45 years, none of these lawyers were able to go back and get rid of that idiotic law. Well, once it's a law, it's written in granite, and that's a Schedule 1 drug, with no medicinal value, but we're the American government, and we have a medicinal patent on it, because we're honest. Jesus, what a joke.
Oh, meanwhile, take NORML, for example. They're getting paid $10,000 donations from one company.
Yeah.
Stuff like this.
Oh, yeah, people like NORML, they get all kinds of money. People like Mike and I, we get nothing. And I'm the guy that brought this to the public's attention. It wasn't NORML, and it wasn't none of these other researchers. I'm the one that started making all the noise about this back in 2003. Well, actually, from 2001 on. And then I put the website up in 2004. Then we made Run from the Cure in 2007. That came out in early 2008. And I've done all these lectures with experts, in many different countries. I've done hundreds and hundreds of interviews and TV or radio shows and things like that. I've been on television in many of these countries. I spoke in parliaments. I don't know how I could have done much more, given the resources that I have. I don't know how the hell I did what I did. So any help you can give us would be greatly appreciated.
And let's see. So we had Dennis wants to know. He says that there is a company in Colorado isolating cannabinoids. And he wants to know if you feel one works better for pain than the others. Well,
there's certain strains. Back in Canada, I was growing a strain. Well, I sent for the seeds for this strain, and it was called White Widow. But it was a very sedative indica. And, but the problem is over here, you can get White Widow. You can still buy White Widow, but it's more sativa. There's it's a hybrid. And it doesn't work nearly as well as like the White Widow I had was actually the best painkiller I ever seen. I mean, that stuff would stop pain that an opiate wouldn't even touch. The first one, just after I started doing this, a man from the St. John Hospital called me. His wife was dying with bone cancer. They had her on hydromorphine and every painkiller you can imagine. They couldn't stop the pain. He came and got 2 tubes of oil from me, called me up the next morning. He said, my wife's out of pain. So why are we using these stupid opiates when cannabis is so much more effective? But it's certain strains of cannabis. And you see, and the problem is, people are always asking me this same thing, what strain should I use? Well, how do I know where you're going to get your seeds? Like you send to 5 different companies, and if you buy the strain White Widow and you grow it, you're going to find you're growing 5 different types of cannabis with different medical values. Again, no stability. And this is what I want to bring into this industry. At least then people could go out and get extracts they know they can trust. But at the present time, just like I said, it's a free-for-all.
Let's see. It turns out I can't go all the way up to see all the comments, so I can only see the recent ones. So if you guys have a question we didn't get to earlier in the show, re-ask it now. So we can see it. Lorraine was just updating us on the situation in UK. She said the husband of the Prime Minister, I believe, grows for Sativex. And
Sativex.
Yeah,
that's pharmaceutical industry.
And that they said that the Prime Minister said it has no medicinal value.
Well, of course. And I mean, who would know better than the Prime Minister? What an expert. And he's in bed with Sativex. Well, that's wonderful. I mean, oh, God. I had a patient come to me years ago who was using Sativex. They were spraying it under their tongue, which is something I just tell people, put it in your mouth, swallow it, get it down like a damn pill. But he came, he tried some of the extracts that I was producing, and it was a White Widow strain that I had at that time. And he came back 2 weeks later. He told me, he said the next day, he said, I threw the Sativex in the trash. He said, these extracts killed all the pain, and they kept it away for a very long time. So it's, like I said, greatest, some strains will produce the greatest painkiller on this planet. And they have no addiction, and they pose no danger to the public. And this is what we should be looking at as being medicine, because that follows the Hippocratic Oath. This trash they're giving us, I think raw opium itself probably has fairly strong medicinal values on its own, but when you start turning, opiate or raw opium into, morphine or hydromorphine or OxyContin and all this other garbage, these are highly addictive, dangerous substances for anyone to use. So if I actually always advise people, I advise them, try to stay away from the opiates. If you start growing cannabis, you get the right strains, you'll find your pain relief, and it won't cost you too much that way.
And that was one of the questions too. Any other strains besides White Widow that you recommend for pain?
Well, see, I was doing my own breeding program at home, and I was stressing female plants and crossing them with other, males from other strong indica strains. So in the end, basically, I had my own strains, but of course, the police put an end to that. So it's very hard for me, where I haven't been in the position to be able to grow since 2009. So it's very hard for me to, to answer questions like this. I'm sure there's other strains that would be very effective for pain relief, but basically at the present time, it's more something you have to go out and seek out yourself, the same as I did. And unfortunately, it'll remain that way until we have the freedom to do the proper research.
Oh yeah. Okay. Apparently I missed a lot. Let's see. Someone asked if we've heard of Blue Hell strain, and I definitely haven't. But
well, they come up with 100 new strains every week.
Well, they need to fix the names.
How would you ever keep up with all of this?
Some of these names, it's like Green Crack, Alaskan Thunderfuck,
chemo.
Yeah, you guys got to change them. You got to get better names. Come on, we're talking about medicine here. Okay, last questions. Get them in, because we're about to say goodnight. Melissa wants to know if it will take a lawsuit like the one in federal courts to see the importance of the strains, and that's another thing that I can never really predict. I've recently gave a lecture. We were in Greece on activism, and courts and the legal action. That's one form of activism. There's many other forms, and I never recommend, just like to take one cannabinoid, I don't recommend this one course of action. So, you can go protest, you can boycott these brands, you can boycott the companies that are paying to prohibit us from fixing these laws.
Right.
There's other things you can do. I don't know if it will take. I can't tell you if it would take a federal court to see the importance of strains. I just think we know. So just tell everybody that you meet.
Well, this is not to me. This is not. This is just a matter of getting people together. And like I said, stand up for your natural rights. We can sort all this other stuff out in a very short time, but we got to set the plant free first. And the only way to do that is unite as one, and with one voice, just tell our governments we're not going to play this game anymore.
Do you have any faith that Canada will repeal cannabis?
Well, they're going to. Trudeau says he's going to legalize it, but from what I understand, there's a great number of liberals now involved with these companies. And Trudeau happens to be the leader of the Liberal Party. And what I see here, they're looking to control the industry. And I think that they'll bring genetically modified cannabis seeds into play. They've already, some of this government-sanctioned extracts that have been produced already in Canada, they've already had problems with 2 or 3 different companies due to the pesticides.
Oh, yep.
That they found in these extracts that was making people sick. Well, I grew cannabis for years. I never used pesticides. You don't need to, if it's grown properly. So I don't see anything good about what the Canadian government has in mind. And I think that the Canadian, right now the Canadian people think that it's going to be totally free come July 1st. It's, going to be a new Canada. With these people pushing to control it, I think it's going to be a real rough road in the future, for all the people that want to grow their own. And but I encourage everyone, this law is not real, so damn the stupid law. Grow the plant, heal yourself, heal your friends, and it doesn't matter what the government says. When the time comes and they get sick, just make sure they don't get any extract.
Yeah, I agree with that. And the second part of that question is, would you want to return if they did to Canada? Would you want to go back?
No, I had 60 years of snowdrifts. That's more than enough for me. I want to live in a climate. Well, I'd like to live in a climate where you can grow cannabis year round. A warmer climate, and I don't think that's asking too much. And Canada has actually proved to be such a disappointment to me. After all the noise I made there and everything, and so like I said, so some good people did back me. No question about that. But it just sickened me that my own country, the country I had always believed to be the greatest country in the world, was actually one of the most corrupt countries in the world.
Yep.
And being run by nothing but gangsters, as far as I'm concerned. So I don't think I'd ever feel comfortable living in Canada again. Maybe Europe or maybe even in the southern hemisphere. But Canada, no, too cold.
Yeah, I feel your pain. I mean, it's a real tough pill to swallow when you're indoctrinated from birth, that your country's the greatest, all our laws mean what they say they mean, and
There's justice,
value,
equality, all the things they told us. But when you get into a situation like I was in, then you realize just how bad it all is.
Yeah.
I think this is a big part of a lot of people today. It's like I've always said, there's at least 50% of the population that cannot wake up. They will not. They just can't go there in their minds because it destroys their whole way of life, the way they always thought. It just destroys that. And that's what happened to me. But if you really want to be awake and you want to know what's going on in this world, you have to break free of that. And once you do your own research, look into this subject, it becomes very clear in no time at all that that we have every right to use this plant, and these people that outlawed it were truly criminals of the first order.
Oh yeah.
And it's bad enough that this was done many decades ago, but every succeeding government since that time has continued on with the same nonsense. These people that are representing us are supposed to know what they're doing, and obviously they don't. So why are we paying them? What do we need them for? I mean, we'd be better off if we just paid them to stay home.
Seriously. Let's see. Vanessa, I have seeds. OG Labs is the link. You can get everything you want there. Keegan's asking us, have you seen any developments in countries like Croatia, Spain, Portugal, or any of the other European countries toward actually legalizing cannabis for adult use?
Well, they've already done that in Portugal. Portugal, all drugs have been set free in Portugal. In Spain, there's many different cannabis clubs there.
Yep.
You're allowed to grow a small number of plants for your own use, as long as it's done behind closed doors. In Croatia, the government of Croatia is not so hot, believe me. But they're still dancing around this. But a great number of the cancer patients, and I mean a great number of cancer patients in this country, are actually using the extracts. And in little Slovenia, which has, I think, less than 2 million people, I was told here just recently that over 35,000 people with cancer in that country are using the extract. So over half the cancer patients in Slovenia are using the extracts. So it's growing everywhere. I see it growing everywhere in all these different countries. Romania, they've legalized medicinal use, and on and on and on. There's no stopping it. And it's just what I've always told the public. In the end, this plant will set itself free because it's such a necessity, to our survival. And it's the only sensible solution to most of our problems. So there's no stopping the cannabis plant now. But, I just want to see this over with as quickly as possible so people can start getting the help they need.
Yeah, amen.
That's what it's all about.
Lewis, I'm going to take this one. Lewis wants to know if we see things getting better in Florida. He works for MMJ Company in Florida. Personally, I'll tell you, we can use Florida as a representative example of what I hope won't happen, but I think will. Yeah. And there's a few people in Florida that I know that are trying to push some programs, some sort of legalization. But as far as I understand, it's not where you can really grow the plants yourself and where you can really process this oil yourself. And so what I think is happening, like what we're seeing in other states, is where the companies come in and take control of the legislation that's already in place and try their hardest and spend thousands of dollars to keep it in place. And to make money off of that and to prevent other people from entering into their market who will become competitors. And so, unfortunately, that's what I think is going to happen in Florida. So go fight every chance you get to the state capitol, to politicians, tell them you need to grow to be able to. I mean, come on, set this plant free, repeal prohibition. It's how many deaths? None. You know, that's that's the basics. You know,
Well, that's a pretty strong selling point.
yeah.
Yeah, a medicine that's been used all through history and it never killed anyone. And when you look at the trash that the pharmaceutical industry gives us, there's not much of a comparison.
Yeah, even if you wanted this, say, forget the past. You know, even if you wanted this go till the 2000 or whenever the California's medical program, and then Colorado's medical program, and then Washington and Oregon. How many people in all these states, more than 28, it's probably more than 30 now, have used cannabis as a medicine legally in these medical programs? How many of them have died?
Well, I mean, this whole thing, they're still, they're still trying to tell us, that cannabis rots your mind.
Yeah.
Well, I think after listening to Mike and I for the last hour or two, I think you would realize that there's not too much wrong with our minds. And they're still trying to push this damn stupid, the gateway effect. It's like you were saying about Jeff Sessions, you start with cannabis, Look, cannabis is no more of a gateway effect than pure water. There's no gateway effect to cannabis, for God's sakes. It doesn't lead you onto the use of hard drugs. It leads you away from it. And this is what we need to get these people back to being productive citizens again. So this whole thing, everything you were ever told about gateway effect, that was nothing more than propaganda and nonsense.
Oh yeah. I mean, I always like to say it's an exit drug. We've seen so many of these people who are on heroin addictions, who are
there's
on
even studies out there
addictions.
now that are saying this. So, this is a wonderful way to break people's addictions.
Oh, I've seen it. I mean, I had patients who they were heroin addicts, and they start taking this oil. All of a sudden, they don't need to go buy that, and they don't need to shoot up anymore, and they don't need to do this. It's it really is amazing and crazy and wild. Every day there's a new story I see, and it's some of these diseases that are uncurable, Crohn's, like what I have, for example.
Yeah.
Other ones you see, these crazy ones that only 5 people in the world have this disease. Well, guess what? One of them is using cannabis and it's working. So everything else, all the other patients out there are using something else and it's not working. It's just miraculous what this plant can do. This is why we preach about it and talk about it so much, because we wouldn't be here, if it wasn't for this plant. Just tell everyone you can. Tell your neighbors. Tell everybody. Cannabis saves lives.
You're damn right it does. And it's already saved millions worldwide. And that's one thing that does please me about this. I've certainly never got rich from any of this, but it's a nice feeling to know that just by doing what I did, it's helped so many people. And that number is growing every day. And soon there's going to be a lot more of us than there are of them. So it's like I said, there's no stopping this plant now.
So pancreatic cancer, will the oil work for that?
Well, it works for all types of cancers.
that's
and it works for all types of diseases. If you have the right extract, then you've got the best damn medicine on the planet to treat any condition. I don't know of any pharmaceutical that is better suited to treat any disease than properly produced cannabis extracts. By far the safest, by far the most effective. So, pancreatic cancer, lung cancer, glioblastoma, I don't care what kind of cancer you got. This is going to give you the cannabis extracts. If you have the high quality extracts, it's definitely going to give you the greatest chance to survive. And we do have a very high success rate. It's not like chemotherapy where 98% are dead within 5 years. So this is a whole different ball game.
And so let's see. Melissa says, yes, our testimonies will win them over sooner or later. I agree. And this is what I was getting to. Never really finished that point, but I'll finish it now. If you are testifying at these state capitals, be nice, be polite, and only tell your story. Don't get baited or goaded into these questions that politicians ask you that doesn't have to do with your story. They might say, what do you feel about THC for children or something, or who knows what they might ask. You just say, I don't know. I'm here to talk about my story. This is my disease. It worked for this. I need to grow it. I need to be able to make this at home.
Well, and tell these people, if you have someone that you care about that's sick and dying, tell these politicians, you're responsible. And they are.
It's a good point. All right, so we're wrapping up. I think that is it. Let's see. A lot of support from Anthony. He said he met you about 10 years ago. Anthony Newcomb. And let's see. All right, guys. Well, I think that is about it. Anything, any last thoughts you got today?
Well, I think I voiced most of my opinions, but I mean, I'm just, I just want to see a better world for us all, and I want to see us to have a future. And cannabis is the answer to it. And I'm just really so disgusted when I think about the way the world has gone. Even from the time I was a child. It's like I said, we should be much better humans than we currently are. And given the right circumstances, I think we could become that. So I'm hoping that we all can all work together towards that goal. And like I said, then we will have a better future.
I agree. And so, last thoughts I'll say, ways you can support Rick. I know we've gotten a lot of questions about this. Go to his website, phoenixtears.ca.
Phoenixtears.ca. There's a PayPal there.
You can purchase books as well. There's ebooks if you don't want to get a hard copy.
Simpson Ramador. That's my wife's. We have a small publishing company. We decided to have our own company because we wanted to get.
No, there it is. Rick's at his website, phoenixtears.ca. I'll follow it slowly.
But my books are available at Simpson Ramador too. But decided the only way to get my books out there is, all the publishing houses, they want to take all the money. They like to pay you like 6%. So we decided we just distribute the books the best we could ourselves, and we're getting more and more into distribution. So I'm hoping that a bit more money will start coming in.
And I'll tell you to support me. Always like the show, share all the content I put up. It's like I said, always by patients for patients. We have a movie link on Indiegogo, Phoenix Tears movie, I believe, if you type it into Google. Mm-hmm. You can donate there. That would help us continue preaching this message together and getting the message out. There. He's already going on all these trips. I need funding to tag along with him to film it so we can document it. So everybody in the whole world can see it and not just people at these events.
Yeah.
You can also check out my website, OG Labs Genetics, here on Facebook. We got some killer seeds. Like I said, I've had a seed bank I've been collecting for 4 years or so. And so I've gotten into breeding, and we got some good strains. They're smoking on Mike Wise in Switzerland. I remember that. That's one. But we got some new strains released. G13's a real popular one. Crossed with Girl Scout cookies. Everyone likes that. So check out that page, and we'll see you. We're out today, guys.
Okay.
See you.